just about everything on Halloween, especially in New Orleans, from people dressed up as doctors on the front line of the pandemic to skeletons, princesses. Today, we're speaking with a doctor about safety tips to keep in mind when dressing up your little ones this Halloween. Dr. Anna Suessman with Ochsner Hospital. Dr. Seuss today joins us with more this morning. Ochsner Hospital for Children with more details. And thank you so much for being with us. We love your outfit.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And first of all, okay, so you sent along some tips. Fit is so important so your child doesn't trip and fall, especially when you're out trick-or-treating after dark, right?
That's right. Regardless if your kiddo is a witch, a pirate, or their favorite superhero, try on that costume in advance. Make sure it fits so there aren't any trips like you mentioned. We don't want any scrapes or bruises or anything more severe than that as well. Try on the costume beforehand, and you can always use double-sided tape as a trick to hem up things last minute.
All right, and check your eyes and ears. What does that mean?
Yeah, make sure that if you have wigs or hats or face masks, that the kiddo can see and hear. They can follow your instructions better if they can hear you. And of course, eyesight is super important, making sure they cross the street safely, don't trip, things like that. Consider making those holes larger, the ear holes, the eye holes. Cut them out or use makeup instead.
And a lot of costumes have glitter. What happens if your kid gets glitter in their eyes? What do you do?
Make sure you take them home right away and wash it out, clean it out, move it towards the center of the eye, letting it come out with discharge. They might tear a bit. It can lead to a scratch in the eye. So if the kiddo continues to have pain after a thorough clean out, we're happy to see them in the pediatric emergency room at Ochsner.
And clean it out just with water?
Yep, clean water, clean washcloth would be the start.
Okay, and what about props? It seems like there could be a lot of safety hazards with props, but most costumes have them.
That's right. Just make sure you set some ground rules with your kiddo. No throwing, waving, swinging, hitting other kiddos with those props to avoid injuries, and make sure they're properly secured. That way they're not a tripping hazard.
And you recommend making it glow. What do you mean by that?
Well, consider using reflective tape. You can buy it at a bicycle shop, a sporting goods store, putting it either onto the costume itself or on that goodie bag. That way your kiddo is reflective, especially protective against cars, as it's likely going to be dark when they're out and about on Halloween.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And of course, make sure children look both ways for cars, cross the streets in the proper places. And you always want to accompany little children while they're trick-or-treating. And what's the most common injuries you see on Halloween?
A lot of times, thankfully, it's a bunch of scrapes, bruises, things like that. But we have seen head injuries from tripping over costumes that are not fit properly, sometimes lacerations from falling or injuring with props. So keep your kids safe by following some good tips.
What's the most bizarre injury you've seen? It could be children or adults.
Oh my goodness. I mean, especially those not sober individuals can get into some troubles with candles around Halloween parties or,
Sure.
Some drinking accidents. So just try to keep yourself safe. And for the kiddos, make sure a sober adult stays by.
All right. And if kids do have to go to the ER on Halloween, do you guys have candy there?
We definitely have candy and stickers.
But that's going to be a last resort, of course. All right. Thank you so very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Thanks. April.